Good morning, Bowman Bunch. How are you? Coming to you live from the Bowman living room. And yes, look, I have not taken a shower today, so my hair's a mess. But that's okay. We're just winging it and doing the best we can. Oh, my dog's here with us too. Can you see Socks? Yeah, there she is. Say good morning, Socks. We have a leather couch, so I've got Socks on all these blankets so she won't pick it. I thought I would read another chapter in Humphrey. I got a message that you all love this, so let's read Humphrey together. Uh-oh, look, somebody lost my place. But I remember where we were. We were at Uncle Og, right? Okay. Joey had a huge grin as he walked over to our table and stood next to the aquarium. "It's not easy to take care of tadpoles," he said, "but I followed all the directions and..." He pulled the cloth off the tank. "They have little legs now, and if you look closely, you can see their heads changing." Joey looked so proud I thought he'd burst. The rest of our classmates jumped out of their seats and rushed toward the aquarium. Mrs. Brisbane got them to line up and calm down. Og, however, didn't calm down one bit. Boing, 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 boing. He twanged as he jumped up and down. I've never seen him so excited. Somehow, our teacher made sure my friends looked at the tank one by one. "Fantastic," Thomas said. "Ooh, see those bumps," Rosie said. "I think that's the beginning of their arms." Every single classmate said that the tadpoles were the most amazing, spectacular, wonderful, awesome things they'd ever seen in their lives. Really? Hadn't they seen me leap onto my wheel and leap off again without falling? Hadn't they seen me swing across the top of my cage? Of course they hadn't seen my adventures outside of my cage, but if they had, they would think I was amazing and wonderful too. Not to mention the fact that I can read and write. Growing legs and bumpy arms? That took no work at all. Cassie wasn't quite as excited as the other students. "That's very interesting," she said. "But have you ever seen birds build a nest?" "I haven't," Mrs. Brisbane said, "but I'd like to. Thanks for sharing your pictures with us." "Yes, thanks, Cassie," helpful Holly said. "I'd love to see the baby birds hatch." Cassie invited Holly over to her house, and I could tell she felt a lot better. I would have liked to see the baby birds hatch too. I'd been a little upset with Mrs. Brisbane for making us wait for the unveiling of the tadpoles, but I was happy when she let the students take time to watch them. Not that they did much, but they didn't look like specks anymore, and that was very interesting to everyone. I think it was especially interesting to Og. "Boing, boing," he said. Then he jumped into the water to do some serious splashing. After that, he went back to his rock and looked over at the aquarium. "Boing, boing, boing, boing," he exclaimed in a very loud voice. "I think Og likes them," Nicole said. I wasn't so sure about that. "Maybe he remembers being a tadpole," Harry said. "We should name them," Thomas suggested. "How about Tad and Pole?" Some of my friends groaned at that idea. Then Simon said, "We should call Og Uncle." Everybody loved that idea except maybe me. "Uncle Og, Uncle Og," they repeated. "Boing, boing," Og joined in. I was unsqueakably relieved when it was time for lunch and my friends had time to leave the classroom. I needed a break. Besides, I hadn't had a chance to get a good look at the tadpoles myself. Once the room was quiet, which it hadn't been all morning, I moved to the edge of my cage closest to the aquarium and looked. The specks were bigger, and yes, they actually did have legs. They had round things that looked a little like heads if you used your imagination. Luckily, I have a good imagination. Then I looked across the aquarium to see Og. Og had a huge head. He was green, he had strong legs. The tadpoles didn't look anything like him. So why were my friends calling him Uncle Og? If he was the tadpole's uncle, was I their uncle too? Just because he was a frog, did that mean they were all in the same family? And where was my family anyway? "So what do you think, Og?" I squeaked. "Do you like the tadpoles?" He was completely silent, so I kept talking. "I can't believe how much they've changed." No answer. Do you remember being a tadpole? I asked. Boing! And Og's voice boomed. I'm not sure, but I think maybe he didn't remember. I don't remember being a baby hamster either, I said. At least, I don't think I do. After that, Og didn't make any noise at all. I wondered if he had dozed off. You can never tell with a frog. Later that afternoon, Mrs. Brisbane told the class that she had an idea for Family Fun Night. Since we have animals in our classroom, I thought we would have fun doing animal activities for the circus, she explained. Helpful Holly waved her hand. Ooh, I saw a lady in a pink dress standing on the back of a horse at the circus, and they were going round and round and round the ring really fast. Well, I don't think we'll be doing that, Mrs. Brisbane chuckled. Mrs. Wright would not approve of horses racing around the gym. We all laughed at the thought of that. I was thinking that we could have activities that had to do with hamsters and frogs, she said. Calm down, Cassie waved her hand. We made a hamster maze in the after-school program. We could set up a maze like an obstacle course, and people could buy a ticket to run through it, Harry suggested. We could time them. If they beat the clock, they'd get a prize. Mrs. Brisbane nodded. I like that idea, Harry. Then Kelsey's hand shot up. Ooh, we could have the parents and their kids do a leapfrog race. The thought of my friends' parents leaping around like frogs was unsqueakably funny to me. Boing, boing. I guess Og liked that idea. And I thought we could have some of you take turns as ringmaster or ringmistress to draw people in, Mrs. Brisbane said. Ooh, I want to do that, Rosie said. Great, let's take a vote, Mrs. Brisbane said. Who would like room 26 to sign up to do animal acts? Every hand shot up in the classroom. I raised my paw. Og said, boing. I don't think you can actually raise one leg at a time. Sophie asked, can Humphrey and Og be in the gym too, and the tadpoles? Mrs. Brisbane said, Mrs. Wright won't like that, but I think Mr. Morales will, and after all, he is her boss. I'll see what I can do. There were cheers and applause. Mrs. Brisbane wasn't finished. Since we're getting ready for Family Fun Night, I have an assignment that has to do with families and how they grow. She asked Holly to pass around sheets of paper. We're all going to make family trees, she said. A family tree shows the people who live in your family now, and it also shows your relatives from the past. You're going to build your trees branch by branch. I was confused. I may not remember my family, but I'm pretty sure they didn't grow on trees, and neither do human families. So start with, for your homework tonight, I want you to write your name at the bottom of the tree. There's a space for it, she continued. And then on the lowest branch, write the name of your mother on the right side and your father on the left side. Holly raised her hand. You mean Janet and Steve? Those are my parents' names. Their full names, including your mother's maiden name, Mrs. Brisbane replied. Her maiden name is her last name for when she was a girl. Some moms keep their last name and some take their husband's. Daniel frowned. I have no idea what my mom's maiden name is. Ask her, our teacher said. Then I want you to draw apples hanging from the tree to show your brothers and sisters, if you have any. Write their names in the apples. Sophie was already at work. Timothy, she said as she wrote her paper. Mrs. Brisbane, I have a half-sister, Nicole said. A half-sister? I've never heard of such a thing. Which half was she? My mom and dad got divorced, she continued. My mom married my stepdad, and they had my sister. Where do I put her? Ooh, that's what a half-sister is. Make an apple on the tree for her. All kinds of brothers and sisters should be included, Mrs. Brisbane said. You don't have to do it now. Bring it in tomorrow. You know what, boys and girls? I'm glad that she said that all brothers and sisters should be included, because just because our parents divorce and remarry, that makes us a family. It's called a blended family. So we may have half-sisters, we may have step-brothers and step-sisters, but they're still part of our family. So I'm glad she wanted them included on their tree. As usual, I didn't get a sheet, so I wasn't sure what a family tree looked like or why brothers and sisters were apples. My friends raced out of the room, but Thomas hung back with a worried look on his face. Mrs. Brisbane, he said when all the students had left, I don't know what to put on my tree because I'm adopted. That doesn't make any difference, she said. Do you live with someone that you call Mom and Dad? Thomas nodded both. And do you love them and they love you back, she asked. Thomas nodded again. Then those are your parents, Mrs. Brisbane said. The people who love and take care of you. Write their names on the family tree. Okay, Thomas said. I wasn't sure what that was all about, so I hopped on my wheel for a good long spin to try and figure things out. After my spin, I crawled into my sleeping hut, and by the time I woke up, it was dark outside. It was too late to visit Gigi, even though I wanted to tell her all about our family night plans. Og was quiet, so I sat and waited for Aldo to arrive. I was eager to see what he thought of the tadpoles. They were quiet too. Suddenly, the door opened and the lights came on. Greetings, Aldo, I squeaked. After all, I hadn't seen my friend for more than a week. I was shocked to see that the person pulling his cart into room 26 wasn't Aldo at all. It was a complete stranger. You're not Aldo, I squeaked. Boing, boing, Og chimed in. The tadpoles didn't make a sound, of course. The stranger was much shorter than Aldo, and he didn't have that nice, funny mustache that Aldo has. But he did have rusty-colored hair and a rusty-colored beard to match. He pulled in the cart and looked around the room. Nice and neat, he said. That was true. Mrs. Brisbane's room was always nice and always neat. Then he saw our table by the windowsill. Oh, he said, Aldo left a note for me about you. As he walked toward our table, I squeaked, Where is Aldo, and who are you? He fumbled around in his pocket and pulled out a carrot stick. Aldo told me to give the hamster a treat. I guess that's you. Of course it's me, I squeaked. Does anyone else around here look like a hamster? He pushed the carrot stick between the bars of my cage. Thank you, I said, even though I had no idea who he was. The man scratched his head and looked around. He said to give the frog something. Luckily, he spotted a jar of froggy fish sticks. Ah, he said. He opened the jar, took out a few sticks, and threw them into Og's tank. Boing, boing, my froggy friend said. The man scratched his head again as he stared at the tadpoles. He didn't tell me what to do about you. He leaned in closer to look at them, whatever you are. I understood his confusion. Who are you? I squeaked. Sorry, I don't know the ropes, the man said. I'm just filling in for Aldo. His wife had twins, a boy and a girl. Yay, 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 I squeaked. Did you hear that, Og? Boing, 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 Og replied. The man smiled. Aldo said you guys have a lot of personality. Aldo has a lot of personality too. I tried to picture a baby girl who looked like his wife Maria and a son who looked like Aldo. Did he have a mustache like his dad? The man took his broom and began to sweep the floor. He didn't do the funny things Aldo did, like balancing a broom on one finger, but he swept and dusted, straightened the tables, and worked very hard. I'm telling you, even if he can't understand me, I really need this job, he said. But it's Aldo's job, I squeaked. I was happy when Og agreed. Boing, boing. He's about to graduate from college, and if he gets a teaching job, I hope I can move up to being a full-time custodian, he said. Right now, I just fill in when someone can't make it. He stopped talking, but I kept listening. After a while, he spoke again. I have a wife and kids too, he said. The store where I worked closed down, and I've only been able to find part-time work. He stopped and looked over at us. Hey, why am I talking to a hamster and a frog? Because we were listening, I squeaked. Boing, Og said. The room looked fresh and shiny as the man stopped and leaned on his broom. I'd do anything to get this job, he said. As long as Aldo has a better job, he's a good guy. The best, I agreed. The man was finished, but as he pulled his cart toward the door, he said, My name is Bob, and I hope I see you again. He switched off the light, and I sat there in the dark for a long, long time. Aldo wants to be a teacher, I squeaked, and I want what Aldo wants. But what will it be like when he's not here every night? Og leaped into the water side of his tank and splashed around. If Aldo can't be here with us every night, I hope Bob gets the job, I said. Then I moved toward the window and looked up at the moon. I'll miss Aldo so much, I squeaked. But Bob needs a job too, and he did give us treats. Boing, boing. I was glad that Og agreed with me. Humphrey Spring Things. I am happy for Aldo, he's my friend, but I'd hate to see the good times end. So, boys and girls, the next chapter we read is called Family Matters, okay? So we just finished up with that. Now I'd like for you to do something for me. Since we talked about family trees, I think it'd be a good idea, since we're all at home with our families right now, to do a family tree. I can send you a link of what a family tree looks like, but basically you just draw the outline of a tree, and on the left side you put your father's whole name, and on the right side you put your mother's name with her maiden name. And then you add apples to the tree of your brothers and your sisters, okay? And remember, a family is who you live with and who takes care of you. It doesn't have to be, if you don't live with your mom and dad, it could be your grandma and your grandpa. It could be your aunt or your uncle. It could be your stepmom, your stepdad. It's who you live with. A family is somebody who loves you and takes care of you. Remember, I told you at school that my classroom, all of you are like my children at school. And I love you all, and I miss you. I miss us laughing and having fun, and I know you miss when I'm being a ding-dong, don't you? Okay, so anyway, I love you bunches, and I did send an email with, I thought I sent a survey for all of you to sign up to see about doing Google Meet. So have your parents check their email and check on that, okay? Love you. See you later.